Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We talk everything animation here, including Voltron, Legendary Defender, which we'll be getting into right now. I'm Dylan Hysen, and today I'm joined by Delaney Stovall.
Hey, y'all.
Jeff Anderson.
Hey.
And Hayley Nabuurs.
Hello.
Today we are continuing our Voltron Legendary Defender Season 5 coverage, this time getting into episodes 3 and 4, Postmortem and Kral Zera. Voltron came out this weekend on Netflix, Season 5, and we're making our way through the episodes 2 at a time. This is our second out of 3 podcasts on it. Find all of that at overlyanimated.com or search for Overly Animated Voltron on iTunes. Subscribe there or on YouTube to not miss any of our future Voltron podcasts. We'll be getting to the last 2 tomorrow, if you are watching this day of or listening to this day of. But spoilers for Postmortem and Kral Zera, but we are not getting into spoilers for episodes 5 and 6. We have not seen past this. So you can watch along with us. Spoilers for episodes 1 to 4 of season 5, but not past. Delaney, what did you think of Postmortem and Kral Zera?
I liked Postmortem, visually. It was a really visually interesting episode. It's the return of, the weird animation style that harkens back to, old Voltron, which was cool. I like Alcarion. I love the Alcara. They're cool. They're neat. Mm-hmm. Okay, the first, time we see, their dad cleaned up, I'm like,
yeah,
what?
Who is this? Yeah.
I was like, I have no idea who you are. It's ridiculous. And then the next time I was like, oh, it's him. I was like, who's this random dude? But, overall, I wasn't, super impressed with the episode. Obviously, the most, incredible part of the episode is, where you're like, Shiro's a clone, obviously. But, Shiro's not real. Whatever he is, because that was weird. And they're all yelling Shiro, and it's and then we saw real Shiro for a little bit. Because the Shiro who's with us is not real, obviously. And then I like Kral Zera, one, because of the name. I was before we even got to this episode, this whole time I was just okay, we're gonna have an Agni Kai, we're gonna have some weird word thing that's going to be very culturally important to them. So I like the Kral Zera. It was interesting that it was about lighting it. And then so I thought they were all just gonna fight. And then they did, but they didn't do it the way I thought they were going to. And then kind of the whole time I was like, what if Keith becomes the king? And then he didn't, but it's okay.
I also had that thought, yeah.
Okay, yeah. No, the whole time I was like, this is what's happening. And then I was still kind of confused that the blade was there, because I was like, what? But I enjoyed it. I liked it. I think I like Kral Zera better than I liked
Postmortem. Interesting.
Postmortem. Okay. I like Postmortem because the name, because geez.
Yeah, very, very blunt.
Also, LOL Sendak.
We'll get into a lot to discuss with Sendak, yeah. Okay, Jeff, what did you think of these 2 episodes?
Well, I have to eat my words from last time about Zarkon dying. Hopefully he is dead. I don't think they did that very well.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
Presumably, they could pull something, right? He could still be alive later.
Maybe.
Zombie.
If they had just given him a 15-second slow death scene, I always hated you, or something, just closure, instead of just, oh, we get you a half second of death and that's it. Oh well. As far as these episodes go, I couldn't care less about what's going on in the plant planet. As far as the villain, it's generic baddie of the week sort of thing, but everything in that episode that ties in to the overarching plot was fantastic. And then Kral Zera was probably my favorite episode of the entire show.
Of the whole show?
The whole show.
Wow, why?
So far. Just because it has everything. It has it ties in so well. Some beautiful shots, just poignant moments. And I guess we'll get more into it, but yeah.
Okay.
3 thumbs up.
Haley, what did you think of these 2 episodes?
I am very happy with these 2 episodes and where this whole season is going, because this is so what I wanted the show to get to, because they were both very interesting and plot relevant, and they actually pushed the plot forward. Finally Zarkon is gone. I agree with you, Jeff, though. I think there should have been something with Zarkon after he died or whatever. He just we didn't even get a shot of him really before he died. We just got that half shot. But I'm very happy that he is now gone and we can actually get to some interesting storylines. And I love that Shiro is totally not Shiro. He's some sort of clone or something. It's so gratifying that is actually happening, because I think it's an interesting plot point. Yeah, and I was so happy with these two episodes because they were actually doing something, which was very exciting, and a lot of plot movement. So, and also the Hagar and the generals are teaming up, which is exactly what I wanted to happen.
Yes, you called that. That
happened.
I know. I was like, yes, when I saw that happening. Yeah.
I fist pumped into the air.
Yeah, that was like maybe the only time I've ever been visibly emotional while watching Voltron, honestly.
Right?
Like them teaming up. That was the most hype thing, yeah.
It was so great. I'm so happy that happened. So yeah, they're actually doing things that we want to happen and are really exciting. So It's making me excited to see where this season ends and what's after.
Yeah, definitely. I'm also very happy with these two episodes. Definitely was down after episode 1, and then 2 was like exciting, but I wasn't sold on the season. And these two, this is like the highest gear this series has ever been turned to. I think these two episodes, and I assume it will continue with the last 2 of the quote unquote season. But just Postmortem. There's so much happening in this episode. There's like 5 plots at once going on, and it is very coherent. Like I was following, I thought they were all used to great effect. I think each plotline was interesting. I'm just very impressed with Postmortem, the writing, just the episode. I'm very high on that one. That's probably my favorite of the season. Like there's I understand not caring what happened on Okarion because it was less important than everything else, but I also that is my favorite planet, I think, on the show. Greening the Cube, one of our favorite episodes, and excited to see the return of that and what they were doing with that, with like the hacking into the plant and like the tech virus. I thought that was all interesting conceptually, and it was explored to enough of an extent. Just very happy with that episode, and the Hagar stuff is super interesting. Yeah, it's a big highlight. The Shiro stuff, super interesting. Kral Zera, I think it's another good episode. I have similar problems that I do to episode 2, which is that like the giant climactic fight sequence I don't think is the most coherent. Like there's just a million things happening. I think it's supposed to be chaotic. Like I think it's just supposed to be like Garen's Civil War, and we're not necessarily supposed to follow. I also think Kral Zera asks you to track too much information at once. They introduce like 5 new characters, and they're important, and we're supposed to follow their movements throughout the episode. It's a little bit hard to follow, but the ending shot of Lotor lighting the flame while Voltron stands behind him is incredible. Like what a huge moment for the series.
And we just ended the Olympics, so lighting the torch.
Yeah,
it was intense. That was like intense.
It's such a huge moment. Like, wow, what an incredible shift. Voltron standing behind the new Garen leader. That's crazy. Like, wow, so much happened these 2 episodes. So much more than ever happened on any of this. Like, I think more happened in these 2 episodes than happened in the entirety of seasons 1 to 2. Like, combined. Like, it's so
like,
great.
When we heard that Lotor was going to become, or at least possibly teaming up with them, I was like, okay, by the end of this season, maybe something will be happening there. I wasn't expecting him to be, like, crowned as the Emperor with Voltron behind him.
Yeah, they just kicked it in the high gear right away. It's finally we're moving, and it's been really great. Like I don't think this is like us completely becoming a better show and solving all of our problems with it, but like I feel like this is the best version of Voltron. These 2 episodes, like what the show is, and we still had some great character stuff in there. I think especially in Postmortem. But yeah, the headline here, Lotor is our new leader of the Garen Empire, and he stands with Voltron. Like, this is the Garen are good now? Is this what's happening, Delaney?
I don't know. Maybe, like, I like Lotor, and I trust him.
You trust Lotor? Yeah, that's a big topic of debate.
Like, I trust him in that, like, but it's kind of like what they were talking about in whatever the name of the Blood Duel.
Yeah.
When they were like, well, what about the Paladins? And he was like, well, whatever. the Paladins can die, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I'm just kind of interested to see what happens, especially because, like, he obviously doesn't know Hagar's his mom, which I'm still really confused about. So I'm curious how that's going to kind of shift things because, like, I don't know. I don't think Hagar wants her son dead, but I also don't really know what she wants right now. Like, I'm really just interested in Hagar right now and, like, what she's going through, Enerva, however, I don't know what we're going to call her. But, Hagnerva.
Well, she refers to herself as a Nerva as like a separate entity. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that was weird. But so I'm kind of more interested. I don't know, like how she's playing into all of this because things just got weird real fast.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like I trust him. I'm just not sure. Like what's next? I guess. Like obviously, like we still have the coalition, but like what's his next move? Is he going to liberate the empire? Like what's the dealio? Also, how many generals are we gonna have to like fight off?
Yeah, because only one of them, I think, definitively dies in this episode. I feel like the others are still there, maybe. We'll talk about that. Let me present to you my take on what happens, what the state of the world is at the end of this episode. And Jeff, you tell me if you agree. I think Lotor is in charge of the Galran Empire, and he stands with the Paladins. So now Voltron, the Coalition, and Galra are united, allies. Then maybe united, at the very least, allies. Meanwhile, Hagar takes Sendak and retreats. And she is the new force of evil in the show. She is the rebellion against the united Galran Paladin front. She doesn't support Lotor as the leader, and she's maybe the face of the old regime in exile. She starts up the anti-Lotor Galran side. So I feel like this episode sets up Hagar as our big bad. What do you think, Jeff?
It's really unclear. So they have the big thing in the sky, like basically the Galran Empire tore itself apart in this episode. And in fact that they admit, like Hagar admits, like the Empire has fallen. So, and it is one of my favorite moments of this entire episode is when, I think it's yours as well, when Lotor's crowned and you see like just the sky's burning above him and hardly anyone's around to actually see him be crowned. So I think while he's technically king or emperor, I don't think it's gonna he still needs to make it real, and he's going to have hardly anyone loyal to him. I think it's going to be a huge fracture deal. Now with Hagar, I don't know what her motivation is, because I believe she is the one that is turning Shiro's dial. Like she's the one that said, activate the Kolar factor 4, whatever. And she's obviously like looking through his eyes, Shiro's eyes. I think what she's doing is just making Shiro more like amenable and eager to serve a Galran figure. Maybe that's off, but I think it was her direct involvement that got Shiro to give Lotor his Bayard last episode. And it's her involvement that got Shiro to take Lotor to Kral Zera in this episode. So what is she doing? Why did she do that? And I don't really know if there's enough to support her being totally anti-Lotor, even though she was ostensibly against him being emperor here. I just don't know.
Right. At the very least, she's presenting herself as against Lotor and the current state of the Galran. Yeah. I think you're taking a leap beyond what the show is presenting us with Hagar and Shiro. Not that you're necessarily wrong, but like I think in the first of these two episodes, we see that Hagar is spying on the Paladins, presumably through Shiro's eyes. It is a little bit of a leap to say that she's controlling his behavior. I think probably she is to a certain extent. But we've definitely seen that Hagar doesn't want Lotor to die or to be captured by Zarkon, and probably she acted against Zarkon and in favor of Lotor, and yet she's presenting herself as being against Lotor heading up the Empire. I think there's a little bit of a contrast here between her motivations to anyone else to her public face that she's presenting, which is like this fully pro Zarkon, evil witch, evil Galran, evil witch, and yet she's regained some of her memories. She cares about Lotor because she knows he's her son. And maybe she's not really acting like this. I don't know, Hayley. That's
kind of what I was thinking. Was that it's like this, like because one, Lotor doesn't know, and so I think
probably Lotor doesn't know. Yeah,
and I think that's part of it. Is like she needs to kind of like she has to manipulate all of these things so she can get where she needs to be, so she can like kind of have him back.
Yeah, Delaney, you think that's her ultimate goal is to, I guess, have Lotor by her side?
I think so. I mean, because, like, when she was, like, when they were like, oh, she was like, where's Zarkon? And he's like, oh, he's gone to get Lotor. And she's like, oh no. And then she activates the whatever. And so like, I think definitely like she's acting in like, she's trying to protect Lotor, do whatever. And like, it honestly kind of seemed kind of like half-hearted when she was like, you can't be king, you're like all tan. So like, I feel like she's kind of like, she's going through the motions. Yeah. Granted, I think Sindak will probably end up being a bigger deal than she may have like realized, unless she's using him to like a greater, like to a more like, there's a, like more of a point to what he's doing. Like to what, like to her purpose with Sindak, because like I think Sindak very well could kill Lotor. Like I think he's gonna be kind of like a combustion man from Avatar kind of character. Like he's just gonna like kind of come around and like mess stuff up all the time. So I think she has like, I think her goal is to keep Lotor alive and like I think just have him with her, but I'm not really sure like necessarily end goal.
Yeah, I think what's clear is that Hagar wants to protect Lotor, or at least did earlier in the season. Beyond that, I feel like it's up in the air. Hayley, yeah, Jeff?
If Zendak turns into a sort of savage, oppressed character, like he was made by these baddies, but then if he goes his own way and makes his own path, that would be interesting.
Right. Yeah, let's table Sendak for a second. But yeah, definitely going to talk about him and ask whether we remembered him from the show. Hayley, what's your read on Hagar's motivations after these 2 episodes?
I don't know. I love her, but I have no idea what she wants to gain out of this, because it seems like to me that she does care about him, because everything we've seen where she's alone and doesn't have to put up like any airs or anything, seems emotionally invested in him and his well-being. But I'm thinking that when in the second episode when she says like, oh, your mother was a Nerva, and he's like, oh, I don't care, I think that was her confirming that he doesn't know. Maybe, I don't know, that might have been something. I don't know why she would bring that up otherwise. If she wants him to be the emperor, like maybe she was expecting Sendak to die or something, and just fulfilling this role that everyone assumed she was going to, of being the opposition. But I don't know what she wants in the end with all of this, because you would think that she'd want her son to be the ruler, but maybe she's got other plans for him that involve him not being the ruler, or something.
That line that Hagar says is potentially key here. She says, yeah, your mother was a Nerva, you're not fully Garin, and Lotor says, regardless of my bloodline, I'm still taking this, basically.
Yeah, he's like, everyone knows that already and everything, so maybe that was her, or maybe that was the writers reconfirming to the viewers that, oh, he doesn't know and no one knows.
Based on that line, the implication is that it's public knowledge that Lotor is born from a Nerva, but no one knows that a Nerva is Hagar.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, Lotor frequently hides information from people, so he could be, he could actually know this.
I was just saying, they're very similar in that they're hiding their lies.
Delaney?
Well, I was just thinking that, like, I think what happened was, like, obviously Hagar was kind of like, well, Nerva was kind of like transforming. So I think kind of what happened was like, can you save the child? And then she kind of like quote unquote died. But like she became like whatever she is.
Yeah.
And people are like, what?
Yeah.
Like my theory that like she died and then is like whatever she is.
Right. To a certain extent, him and her and Zarkon are both just not completely separate people. But now Hagar has regained memories of her being a Nerva, even if she doesn't necessarily like have that same mindset. I think it's kind of unclear whether the memories came with a change in her view of the world, or like more empathy or stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah. So we're definitely unclear on that. Yeah, but she she teams up in the first episode with the 3 remaining Lotor lieutenants / generals, and great move. To assemble all-female ruling team. Good to get the viewers on your side, Hagar. This is a good
That
move.
whole scene was great when they're just like in the prison cell and they're like, oh, the next person to come in is going to kill us.
Yeah.
Like, okay, here we go. It's Hagar.
Yeah, that was so wonderful. Yeah, and then she's like, "Go get someone," and I was like, "Okay, they're getting Lotor, right?"
Right?
No,
Yeah.
it's Sendak from season 1.
Lotor.
Yeah,
Sendak, like
With
what?
a new arm? Like, that arm's new, right? He didn't.
yeah.
Didn't he get it blown off or something?
I don't know, but he's got Robo Arm. He's the mouse guy. Delaney, did you remember that was Sendak?
Nope.
Jeff, do you remember Sendak?
Barely. I remember there was some like one-eyed dude, but
What? Yeah. Is he, what's with his one eye? That's it, because he had a Robo eye too.
He's had that forever. I think.
So he had that before? Yeah, Haley.
Yeah.
Okay, Haley, you remember Sendak?
I remembered him after they said his name, and I was like,
Okay.
"Oh yeah, that guy." But like, I have no idea what happened to him. You know,
Yeah.
like I don't really know what's going on.
I'm gonna brag and say before the show said Sendak's name, I remembered his name.
Oh, good job.
Nothing. I don't remember what he did on the show, but
I don't believe you.
No, me neither.
I wouldn't believe me either, but I did. I remember.
Like
You notoriously forget everything, Dylan.
Yeah, the thing is,
exactly. That's why I'm like, there's no way you know that.
the reason I had to remember because I'm writing the outline as I'm going, and I'm like, who's this character? What do I write? So I had to remember it. It was like, yeah. Then they said it in the next episode. What a weird move bringing back. We talked about this last week in that there's no one to contend for the throne that we know about because they don't have any characters. So what they did is they made up 3 new characters and they brought back a character that was like in the show 3 seasons ago. So that's what they did. But yeah, Sendak,
Okay. In season 1, he had a glowy arm, not the other arm.
Okay. Well, who knows? I think I remember thinking Sendak was interesting at least. So maybe this was the right character to bring back. Regardless, he's just not. He's not a. He's just a husk. It seems like he's battling them. He does talk for himself in the episode, but. I guess I'm not in on him being just a third party combustion man type force because I think if Hagar is summoning him, she has to be controlling him. And there's precedent for Hagar taking someone and then putting them into a state where she can control them to a certain extent. That's Shiro, I feel like. I think that's exactly what he's doing with Shiro right now. Sendak came back with a new arm, like Shiro, and I feel like I think she has some sort of actual control over Sendak. But it could be that, I don't know. I don't think we've set up Sendak enough to have him be autonomous. But regardless, he's definitely with Hagar, and they're escaping together, I guess, to form their own third party with the generals. Yeah.
She didn't seem too concerned about him, really. I think she just sent him in, like you said, like as a puppet, essentially.
Yeah, that is what Lotor seemed to be espousing throughout the whole episode. Yeah, so the other state of the Civil War, so we had Warlord Ranveg, and he was the main, he was the one who was fighting Lotor for a while. I don't think he died. I think he's still alive.
I think only the guy who was the intellectual
So
one
yeah,
died.
Quartermaster Janka definitely died, yeah. He's the supply route guy, he died. And then there's Commander Nav, who was blasted by Sendak, but I don't believe is dead either. Commander Nav is the inner circle one, lady.
Oh yeah, no, she's good.
She's good.
I so want her to come back.
Yeah.
Well, I think she's good. And she also, I remember last season, I think it was, we had this whole debate about whether there were female Galrans.
Yes, the answer is yes.
We never saw them, but they were like at least 2 in this, so
yeah,
they exist.
Yeah, so the Nav is there too.
And they don't really look any different, so now we're like, okay.
Right. Will Rangvig and Nav fall in line behind Lotor? I guess that's a question. He already forces Janka's ships into his own, so
they didn't like Hagar, so maybe
not Janka, not Lotor does that to Janka, but Sendak does, yeah. But yeah, they don't like Hagar, so presumably they'll follow Lotor. Yeah, Delaney, what did you think of all these opposing forces for the throne?
I didn't really care. I was just like, it's gonna be Lotor. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like fine. Like I like Lotor talking and being like, oh, look at this stuff. That's cool. But other than that, I was like, eh. They had interesting character designs. I'm glad there was like a lady.
Yeah, I feel like you'd support Commander Nav in this, in this thing, whatever.
Yeah, she has my vote out of all of them.
I already pledged my allegiance to Lotor last podcast.
Very
so
true.
I'm behind Lotor.
You're a general now by default.
Oh yeah, do I get to move up now that he's? I backed the right horse. I think. I think I'm a high level Galrin. Yeah, Jeff, what did you like the characterizations of these opposing Emperor forces that they brought in?
I suppose. I mean, they did a good job at giving a temporary big baddie, but again, it's sort of like baddie of the week. Like, he's going to go away because they brought him right in this episode, so he's going to go right out the next episode.
Yeah, I feel like the show handled it as well as they could, given that we had no setup for any of them. Basically,
exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So we'll see. I could see. I could definitely see Renvig and Nav being back to a certain extent. We'll see if they come in the next 2 episodes. The other big component of this episode, Kral Zera, was the Blade of Malmura and Keith. And Ilian. They kept the closed caption kept having her name. I don't remember her being a person, but I guess she is. And it seems like they just lucked into coming to the Kral Zera. Like they didn't know it existed.
Right.
So the Blade of Marmora just kind of lucks into ruining the whole Galran Empire. That's
well, they seemed to like they're like, yeah, no, it's like this is going to be the end, and Keith's like, what? So like, I think he just didn't know.
Just Keith is out of the loop, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Blade of Marmora. Jeff, yeah, I feel like you're a big fan of Blade of Marmora. How do you think they've been handled recently?
I think to good effect. I think it seems as though that their modus operandi is just let's just be everywhere, causing the most chaos as we can, and then catch a lucky break like they did here. It was a bit sour that they had to give up destroying the entire power structure of the Gara because Shiro had to just land right in the middle of it. That was really annoying.
Yeah, so they were going to blow everything up. I think they lucked into getting there. I also think they lucked into the optimal scenario of what their blast did because Keith starts deactivating things, and because of that, the blast is smaller.
I was so mad at him.
Why? Because he didn't want to blow up his friend?
Well, he's not really Shiro, one.
Yeah,
the
true.
Black Lion was gonna be fine.
Yeah, like Shiro just, well, I don't get that, right?
Shiro wasn't roaming around on his own.
Yeah, but
he's in the Black Lion.
But then Keith couldn't know
they're
that.
like, oh no, the lions. Yeah. I'm like, they're fine. They're literal magic lions.
They've survived worse.
For all Keith knows, Shiro's out there right now. But I think because the blast is contained, it only hits whoever it hits one of them. I think the blast causes the generals to descend into chaos, whereas blowing them all up, it wouldn't have killed all of them or something. I feel like the blast is along with Lotor's presence, along with Sendak coming, spurred the civil war that was happening. So it destabilized the situation. So I don't know if that was their intent. I feel like they just wanted to kill everyone.
I think it was that.
Yeah. So I don't know. Blade of Marmora, I want to like them, but there's no agency here. They just were a chaotic force, which I guess is a decent, in terms of an overall plan for attacking Gara. I do think that's a good idea. But, in this episode, I feel like that was their role in this. And, what about this, after the blast happens, giant chaotic fight, you have ships fighting ships, stuff like that, and Voltron, or the lions in space fighting, and at least the Black Lion. What did you think of, Jeff? What did you think of all of these battle sequences?
I loved it so much. So visually it wasn't anything particularly special, which for this show, that's still super impressive, right? It just didn't super stand out as much. As some other fight scenes, but just again, it's like we've been saying this whole podcast, so much is happening. This is the Galran Civil War. What the heck? It's so awesome.
Yeah, it was just shocking that there's this 5+ minute battle sequence of all of these Galran forces fighting each other. It was all out. It was
battle royale. It's great.
Yeah, it was very impressive in scope. I feel like. Yeah. Delaney, what did you think of that? And I guess how much were you following all of the action here?
It was really hard to follow for me. Granted, I was watching this and Star versus the Forces of Evil at the same time, and I was like, this is the wrong time for this.
Yeah.
But I was by that I meant I was pausing Netflix while Star was live on television. It just went really fast. I mean, obviously it was like awesome. Like it was just so like big. I don't think it's quite the like we've had like bigger like I don't know. I would say like bigger like quote unquote space battles, but like it was really cool. Like you have everything on the ground, and then like everything's like firing on each other. It's firing on the ground. I think I was just too focused a little bit on the Black Lion, which I would like to rewatch and like see how much more I notice if I'm not just focusing on the Black Lion, because I don't think I was ready for all the jumping around. But like obviously it was awesome, and like I just really liked Lotor fighting. I like watching him fight. So
yeah. Delaney, what's been your take on Lotor this season? Do you still like him?
Yeah, no, I love him. He's cool.
Yeah.
I was getting really mad at them, being like, I don't know if we can trust him. I'm like, ugh. Like, I love my child, Pidge, but Pidge was being really annoying, and I kind of wanted to kick Pidge.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, we said this last podcast, Pidge's reaction was very frustrating. You agree?
I was like, yeah, and I was like, Pidge, stop it.
Yeah. Yeah, I basically said it's really disappointing Pidge is as like one emotional response to anything, and that it's the same one we did with her brother.
I'm like, come on, Pidge.
Yeah. Anyway, we're past that at least. No more family. Don't bring her mom into this. No, like, keep her mom on Earth. We don't need more Pidge drama.
Like, they were like, their dad, and I was like, are you serious?
Yeah. Basically, that was our reaction. Yeah. Hayley, how much were you following the huge fight sequence in Kral Zera?
I liked it a lot, and I think I followed it pretty well for the most part. I think what really made this one great is that it was like a beautifully animated and shot sequence and everything, but I feel like it was one of the top 3, or maybe even, I don't even know, like one of the only fight sequences like this that I can remember where I feel like there's actual like plot stakes that I'm invested in. Because normally when there's a big battle like this, it's like, okay, we're gonna like defeat Zarkon, yay! But it's like, okay, like give me something more than just like, oh, he's the big bad and we'll like save the whole universe. Like this feels like there was plot leading up into it that explained what we were doing and kind of the setting for all of this, and there's actual things that will happen as a result of what happens here, which are really interesting. So I think that's what really made me enjoy it, because it didn't just feel like a fight for the sake of a fight. Like it was actually plot relevant and interesting for our characters as well. But yeah, I think I followed it for the most part, but there's a lot of explosions and things happening.
Well, yeah, it's Voltron. I agree that I feel you could argue that the whole first half of the episode is setting up for this big fight, like just narratively. And
I'm happy they focused on because they made the name of the episode as well, the Kral Zera, or however you pronounce that. But I like that they actually focus this whole episode just on that set piece, rather than like bopping around like, oh, here's the B plot. Like there was kind of that, but they're all focused around the same thing that's happening, which was very effective.
Yeah, very much agree with that. And it's the first, I feel like, giant scope fight in the show that I feel like has been really narratively grounded. They gave us enough setup for all sides, and I understood what was happening. Whereas like last season, the giant space epic stuff, I feel like a lot of that's just like, oh, this cool thing's happening. There are these random rebels doing stuff. Like I feel like I understood who everyone was to a certain extent in this fight, and it was like grounded in this political intrigue with the Galran Empire. Yeah, I think in that regard, all of it was really great. I would have loved to be a little more easier to follow, I guess. Like I'm still not 100% sure what was happening exactly in every single sequence, but I did really love it. Yeah. We have a lot from Postmortem we haven't gotten to that much yet. So we talked about Sendak, and we talked about the Hagar stuff. Hagar presumably viewing the Paladins through Shiro. So what do we think the state of Shiro is? Because, okay, let's go through all the Shiro stuff, because there's also this Little Ant stuff where they're they go into some visual representation of their connection with Voltron, which I think is one of the highlights of the episode, visually and just as a great moment. And Shiro is late to appear, and then he starts yelling at Lance, and when Lance talks to him after the fact, Shiro does not remember any of that. He says he blacked out for a little bit. So Delaney, you think this is confirmation for clone Shiro?
Yes, like this Shiro's not real. Like our Shiro is not an actual being or whatever.
Well,
like
what is he then?
I don't know. Like I just feel like there's just something wrong. Like like, I think it might be evidence that, like, he's, like, powered by, or, like, you know, like, the bad quintessence or whatever. Because, like, so, presumably, like, we understand quintessence to be, like, this energy, kind of like the Force or whatever, like, it's, like, all living things, and they all have it, and, like, the lions are made of it, and that's why they're connected, that's why they're, like, the paladins are, like, can be connected to the lions, and, like, when they're like, oh, let's use our Bayards, this increases the bond, and they all appear, except Shiro, until we get, like, this flickering Shiro, which I think that's, like, the real Shiro, like, he's dead or whatever, wherever he is, or whatever's going on with him, and so then, like, so, like, I don't know if he's a clone, like, I don't know what kind of stuff they can do, like, for all I know, he's a Galrin in disguise, like, I don't know.
I have an idea.
He's not real.
Yes, Hayley.
I have an idea. So, what I'm wondering is maybe this is, like, what we are seeing and interacting with is Shiro's body, but his, like, personality, soul, what have you,
like, his,
is, like,
being.
Yeah, his being is, like, stuffed in the back of his head, and then whatever Hagar's controlling is, like, a mental clone of Shiro, and that's what's interacting with everybody. So
he's
then,
a meat puppet.
Yeah, basically. So when they went into that interestingly designed, like, Voltron mind field place, that was their connection with the lions, right? And quintessence and everything else. So maybe the reason it took a minute for him to flicker in was because he was, like, breaking through all Hagar's controls, and then he showed up. But I don't know. Like, he was, like, talking to them, like, oh, I'm free for, like, a second. This is kind of, like, this shows up in a lot of, like, fantasy animation storylines, you know, where, like, the characters in the back of their head kind of idea. So I'm wondering if it's maybe that. So, like, because I feel like it being a clone of Shiro, like, a physical clone of Shiro, wouldn't explain why he was able to show up in this moment, because if actual Shiro is on, like, another ship far away, he wouldn't have been trying to tap into Voltron at the moment, but if he is present somehow, that's maybe why he was able to do that, because his body was doing it. But,
okay.
Right? I don't know.
Jeff, what's your take?
I completely agree with all of that. A literal clone, I think the lions would have picked up on that. I think we've seen little hints of their ability to identify their proper owners, so I don't think a clone would have tricked them. And we've seen ever since he showed up, escaping from that Galrin lab, his eyes have been drawn subtly differently. It's exactly right, as if, you know, like, the spark has been suppressed and his personality is just being overridden by something else. I think he still believes that he is him. It's just little behavioral things like being risk averse and being agreeable to Lotor and whoever. I don't know what the exact parameters are, but I'm thinking it's exactly something like that.
Yeah, he's very supportive of Lotor, which might explain the connection between, like, Hagar wanting to protect Lotor is she's making sure that Voltron supports him, right?
So the question is, how long will Voltron stand with Lotor?
Yeah.
If the only reason they're there is because Shiro is weird.
Yeah, if Shiro hadn't told them, like, and been really adamant about, like, no, we are going with Lotor and escaping and everything.
Well, he's also literally, like, just ignored them and done whatever he wanted.
Exactly.
Yeah, we learned that we had really were questioning how Lotor had the Black Bayard in the second episode, and it's revealed that Shiro independently gave him his Black Bayard,
which I don't think real Shiro would. You know, like, he was very very supportive of them being a team. Like, he was the boss, but he is a part of the team still. He would have discussed that with them, right? He wouldn't have just done that.
Yeah. We were commenting how in episodes 1 and 2 it kind of just seemed like normal, mellow season 1 Shiro, but in these 2 episodes he's aggressive, he goes against the team, he definitely doesn't seem like Shiro.
No.
Yeah, so I think I know what happened to real Shiro. This episode, the only time we ever see him is when the Paladins go into this manifestation of their connection with the Lions. And I think this is the same place where we left Shiro at the end of season 2. Shiro vanishes. He kind of, like, becomes one with the lion somehow. He goes to some other plane. Yeah. And I feel like I remember him fighting Zarkon in another plane.
Shiro is the Black Lion.
Yeah, he disappeared, right?
Right. So I think this is just where we left Shiro last time, in this paladin lion plane of existence. And for whatever reason, the Shiro that we see is just not that person. I don't know I think it's more of a question of what he is. Is it Shiro's body? I mean, I feel like Shiro's body vanished, so I don't know how Hagar would have gotten it back.
Yeah, and why would the lion accept him, right?
Yeah, but it must be his body. It must be him to a certain extent. So I feel like if it was a clone, though, I think that could trick the lion. I mean, it's still Shiro. It's his DNA and stuff. Maybe Hagar still has his DNA from when the arm came off and stuff like that, when he was with them before. So, I definitely think this is like the show telling us it's not real Shiro, which is big because the show had never said that before. That was just us speculating. That's just all the Voltron fans speculating. So the thing with Lance of like, I don't remember that. That was like specifically this is not our Shiro. And I think Shiro is trapped on the Voltron plane. And I'm not sure we're going to get him back. Like, how do you revive him from there?
No idea.
Yeah. It's interesting. But in terms of like, what is this Shiro? I think that is interesting because I wouldn't, if it just turned out, if he like, in the finale, he smirks and is like, ha, I was tricking you guys all along. I'm actually this clone and I know exactly what's happening and I'm not Shiro. Like, that doesn't seem realistic. It seems like he thinks he's Shiro.
Especially how he responded to Lance too, right? Because if he was faking all of this and was self-aware, I think if Lance said to him like, "Oh, you what were you trying to say?" Like, he would have had a moment where he's like, "Oh, I don't know," like, and kind of maybe we'd have like an interesting little look or something. But he was just like, "Oh, I don't know, I forgot." Like, we were dark there for a bit, so he obviously didn't. Well, maybe he's lying. He could be a good liar, but it seems to me like he didn't experience the same like mental image that they all did. It just went black for him.
Yes,
and then he woke up again.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They weren't he couldn't have been teleported to the Black Lion's connection of the Voltron plane because Shiro's already there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Or because he's not the real pilot.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So maybe what is actually connecting with the Black Lion all this time is the real Shiro, whatever remains that is the real Shiro. And this fake Shiro is just kind of like along for the ride.
Yeah, it could be that too.
Line,
it
right?
could be this is only happening because real Shiro in the plane of existence allows it to happen, something like that. So we will, definitely.
I'm just so
expecting this
happy
to
it's
be,
happening.
Yeah, like we were very frustrated. Season 4 didn't address the Shiro stuff at all yet, but here we are. Presumably will be addressed these next 2 episodes. I love how it was handled this episode. It connected with the main plot line. It happens when they, in a climactic moment, when they went into this really artistically striking place, and then it was discussed, and it discussed with Lance afterwards, and it tied into Lance's characterization. This was also a great Lance episode. Earlier in the episode, Lance is training, and his Bayard turns into a broadsword. And then he talks to Allura about that and relates it to their fears of Shiro. And that's why I love Postmortem and why I think it's really great. The character work is so much more well handled than I feel like ever in the series. Like the Shiro mystery is tied into Lance's training and Lance's own realization of him being like a great pilot, and he has this new broadsword thing. And then the Lance stuff with the Shiro ties into Allura and Allura's relationship with Lance, and hashtag Allurance, the new romance, the new hot ship.
No.
Is, like that scene, it all ties together in three separate character based plot lines. Like this is way more advanced character work than the show ever does.
Well, it's because they're actually giving Lance a character for once.
Yeah, it was definitely one of Lance's best episodes, and I know Delaney is shipping Allura and Lance. That's 100% happening.
No,
Number 1 fan.
You're not on board. Why?
No.
Why?
Mainly it's because they started it off with like Lance being this dumb playboy, and he just likes Allura, and then he acts all jealous. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it.
Yeah.
Hate it.
I think at this point, their interactions have nothing to do with those interactions.
I know, but like I hate it still.
Allura's like helping him with his stance.
Like that was funny because she like flipped him.
Yeah, and then she like is like flirting in her aggressive way. Yeah,
but still,
Allurance. No. Yeah, Hayley, you're shipping it.
Also, again, arm leg.
No, that's dead and gone. Like Keith is never coming back.
Yeah, Keith. That involves Keith being a character, but Hayley, Allurance, yes or no?
Sure. Why not?
Sure.
I don't feel strongly one way or the other. I think I agree with you, Delaney. I don't like where they started, but I like where they're at now. And I don't know. I'm like, I know it's terrible, but I'm part of me is like wanting this like weird love triangle to happen because I think it would just be hilarious
with Keith, Allura, and Lance.
No, Lotor, Allura, and Lance.
Whoa, no, get out of here with Lotor. Don't bring Lotor.
Well, they're just doing it like not seriously. Like it's just I find it so funny all these little like hints at it and stuff and other funny little interactions. I don't.
No shipping Lotor and anyone. Stop, people. Come on.
No. Well, we love Lotor.
I've seen this from fans. Yeah, he's older than them, probably.
Yeah, well, and so is Allura. She's like however many millennia
okay,
old.
well, Allura is Aang aged, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I think Allura it's whatever. I don't know. I'm not mad at it, basically, but I'm not actively.
I thought
this
scene was cute. But
yeah, it was a nice character interaction. Even if it's platonic or romantic, it was very nice.
Yeah, Lance is not allowed to be with anyone except Keith, though. There's a lot of other stuff from the episode. This episode also juggles the Pidge's family plotline with Sam, I guess, his dad, and Matt and Pidge, and eventually our resolution is Sam is going back to Earth.
Thank the Lord.
Which
Go away,
is a place that still exists.
Apparently.
And how is he going to get there? Like,
yeah. And he says he needs to talk to the Galaxy Garrison. He needs to talk to the Garrison. We haven't talked about the Garrison in 5 seasons.
I don't get it too, because I was assuming, I was rationalizing all that weird stuff the other episode with like, why is he getting so much attention as being, oh, he knows something, but like, no, it just looks like he's gonna leave. Like,
yeah, well,
bye,
he's gone.
Dad.
Yeah, he read him off the show, which is probably the right idea. But are you telling me the Garrison has no idea what's happened the past several years?
Yeah, right. Like they're part of the universe, and apparently Zarkon controlled the entire universe. So.
Oh boy, yeah, that was interesting. But yeah, I did think the Pidge, Matt, Sam stuff in this episode was better than the previous two.
It's nice when I recognized him as well, like the second time. Because the first time I was like you, Delaney, I was like, who is this guy?
Yeah. Pidge not angry, which was a good start.
Mm-hmm.
Random thing I forgot from Kral Zera with Pidge and Hunk. By the way, Hunk is still on the show. Just a reminder.
Who would have thought?
I would say Hunk is not even a major secondary character at this point. I feel like he's like a guest star. Like he's not.
He's had like 3 lines this entire season.
Just terrible usage of Hunk. Pidge and Hunk in Kral Zera were arguing about modulating, whether you want to single or double modulate. Jeff, I have a question. I have two. Is this could be one of two things? A metaphor. Is it a metaphor for single and double spaced after a period when you're typing? Because they do say single and double space. Or is this the tabs versus spaces in programming argument?
Yes. It's a good question.
I feel like it could be either because they're both these nerds who are basically programming at that point. So I love this between.
It's more Emacs versus Vim, I think.
Okay, that's another take on this. They say single and double. I feel like this is the period single. You do single space after a period, guys.
And you said it was like a waste of a keystroke, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they just have new names for everything. So, I thought that was a good moment. Let's close with the main plot of Postmortem, which is kind of the least important, as we've alluded to. But we have General Bronco, who bombs Alcarion with a toxin that I guess interfaces with the plant's life form in the same way that the Alcari do. It's like it's like a computer and a virus, and it like manipulates. It like turns that into Okari tech, like that's why like they have the tree tank thing, and then it also is like just causing vines to come up everywhere. Yeah, Jeff, what did you think of this like conceptually as a sci-fi concept?
It's all right, I guess. Like it only works on this planet where we already have plants and tech, but the resolution of this thing is like the worst I've ever seen, I think. It's just so silly.
Yeah, what's the resolution? I don't even remember.
They touch the vines and reroute something.
I love Matt is like, Dad, look, like, follow what I do. And he like closes his eyes and put his hand out. He's like, okay, son. Matt, what are you doing there?
They talked for like 5 seconds about like, okay, we have to deliver some virus, but how are we going to interface with it? And that is the entirety of their discussion of how they're going to fix it. And then they just go do. It's like, come on.
There's clearly not enough energy spent on this plotline. I like this conceptually on like an overall level. Like I think I've always found the Okari nature interfacing with tech to be a really interesting concept to explore, but Voltron never explores these beyond surface level. And certainly in the resolution, it was it's just very surface level handled. I do think the episode chooses to focus on the things we care about more. Like I think if you're gonna set aside something in this jam-packed episode, it should be this. But yeah, it was interesting that the main plot of the episode is this one-off, and then everything else happening is like way more important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I guess Delaney, overall, what was your take on seeing Okari again? Because I feel like you were a fan of the original episode with that planet.
Yeah, no, I just like them. Like, I think it's cool. I like the tree planet. I didn't really like the whole like, oh, it's like one of our mechs. Like that was stupid. Like that felt like really unnecessary. Like they just had to have something to fight. I did like when like the planet kind of cocooned them, and then the ion cannon, like. I did like the whole interfacing thing, like, oh, it's a virus. But yeah, I mean, like, it's cool that they do stuff like this, but they don't really, like, go into any sort of amount of detail ever. And they're just like, oh, there's this thing that happened, and I completely forgot about, like, the headband thing. So I was like, what are they doing? But I did like the episode, like, and I liked the, like, I
also had Reiner. Did you remember Reiner?
I did remember Reiner. Did not remember, like, her name, but
yeah, I didn't.
Really Reiner, the boss lady.
Yeah.
Okay, I love that she was Lin Beifong. Like it was amazing. It's the same voice actress.
Oh, is that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that
the
her?
entire time
obviously,
I was like,
that's my favorite.
Obviously. Okay, thumbs
so
up.
Good.
Yeah. So, good setting, a lot of good stuff in that episode. Yeah, I was just really impressed with the character work in this episode. Like, I would love for this to be what the show handles in more like this for the rest of the time. But yeah, so a lot happening, a lot going into these next two episodes of the show, to finish out season 4. What's going to happen with Shiro? What's going to happen with, I guess, just everything? The state of the universe is kind of up in the air at this point. Hagar, yeah. Lotor, is he going to betray them now that he's the head of the Garan Empire? So we will see. And, we shouldn't expect this to be a giant finale though, because it is,
middle of the season?
Middle of the season, mid-season finale coming up, basically. And Delaney, final thoughts on these two episodes.
I liked them. I wasn't as like, I mean, there was like the very epic ending to Kral Zera, but I didn't really feel like the impact from these two episodes the way I felt for the first two episodes. I mean, I did like Postmortem, but I don't know. Like, I think these episodes just have so much going on in them that it's hard to like kind of be still and to like focus on something. But I did enjoy them, and like I am loving Voltron right now. Like I am so happy. I'm ready to finish the season. Like I love Voltron, and I'm really loving this, especially from after we've had some like lackluster episodes of Voltron. It's really nice to have like they're started back strong, and I want to know everything that happens.
Yeah, definitely been much improved, especially from earlier episodes. Yeah, Jeff, final thoughts.
I'm glad I watched by myself, because in the second episode, in Kral Zera, I let out a very loud, yeah, when they started with that transformation scene again. I was so angry.
Oh yeah, I buried this. They had a transformation scene in both of these episodes.
Both of these. I was so
like
mad.
Netflix needs to let us just skip. Like
I know, right? Like the skip intro button. We need that for the skip transformation.
Yeah, my patron Michael had said that on our Discord. Where's the skip transformation sequence button? Yeah,
because like the episode was so good, and then they just break it up with that. And like we only have this much time left. Let's not waste it. So if they have one of those transformation sequences again for these next two episodes, I'm going to be very disappointed, but it's probably going to happen.
It's the worst use of a transformation sequence maybe ever. Just
it's like it's in a contract or something that they have to use it.
I mean, it's more it's more complicated than that. It's like it saves on animation, and also it's like a toy selling thing, and kids like it. I don't know. But boy, but the climax of both of these episodes. Yeah, and the first episode is terrible, so hopefully no more. But yeah, other than that, Jeff, thumbs up?
Thumbs up, yep.
Yeah. Hayley, final thoughts.
I'm very happy and optimistic. I honestly, like, if you went back to beginning of all these seasons, this is not where I thought the show is gonna go. I was expecting it to be like, oh, Zarkon will live forever, and then he'll be the big bad, and we'll kill him in the end, and like just a normal kind of plot line. But I am so happy that that is not what is happening, because we have way more interesting characters and interesting plot lines that are happening, especially in these 2 episodes and leading into the next 2. So I'm very, very happy with where the show's at right now, and this season in general, because it's so good. I'm very, very pleased.
Yeah. Definitely thumbs up on these 2. Very hype. I guess my takeaway after loving the characterization in Postmortem so much is this is my takeaway with Voltron always, I'd love for the show to just care about its characters more. I feel like that would improve things a lot. But yeah, we'll see. I'm not necessarily expecting that from the last 2 episodes of
we might get something cool with Shiro, like, because they're invested in him as their friend. Yeah, that'd be good. I mean, the Shiro stuff has been great blend of characterization and plot. So that's like a great example. Yeah, good land stuff here. Hoping more from the hot new ship Allurance. Also, Lance is an anime character completely.
Oh yeah, the Lance sequence.
One episode that was so funny.
Yeah,
I was kind of disappointed that they didn't actually tie back his new broadsword ability at that moment.
Yeah, I thought it would come out of.
Is he going to stab the thing with a sword now, like a giant one? No.
Right. I feel like that was the implication, but yeah, I expected it to be more visually explicitly presented.
Normally they show us the weapon like really detailed, but maybe not.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess the point is that it's about him, his like confidence in himself and stuff, and not the specific power. Hooray. Okay. So let us know what you thought of Postmortem and Kral Zera. Listen in the comments or on YouTube, wherever you're listening. And also come talk about these episodes with us on our Discord, overlyanimated.com/Discord. We'll be back for the last 2 episodes tomorrow. If you're listening past then, you can find them all at overlyanimated.com. Support us via Patreon, patreon.com/overlyanimated. Thank you very much to all of our current patrons, especially our patron of the podcast, Danny, aka Danny Phantom. And thanks to our patron executive producers, John, Ryan, Steve, Alex, Andy, and Hugh. Back for the Voltron finale. Also check out our Starverse Force of Evil podcast that came out today, and Final Space coverage continues. Find all that at overlyanimated.com. Thank you guys very much for listening. We will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Ciao.